Hey guys, what's up? It's Cyphlin here, and today I'm going to be showing you guys a Tipedo Prime build. So I've just been in the simulacrum messing around with a few different melee weapons, testing out builds and stuff like that, because I didn't test out a lot of the melee weapons whenever the melee rework changes came into play, because I just wasn't around whenever they were first implemented, right? So I still have a lot to explore in this sort of like melee area, I guess you could say. And one of the weapons that really stood out to me, surprisingly, was the Tipedo Prime. Now, the Tipedo Prime was used way back in the day whenever Zoran Coptrain was still a thing, where we used to use our slide crit to just propel ourselves across the map. Like, because this weapon had such a high base attack speed, you would put as much attack speed on it as possible, and this would be your main way of getting around missions. Now it's just a monster in terms of the amount of crits you can land with it, and also the amount of status effects that you can apply with it as well. So it's a pretty balanced polearm weapon, and the polearms, they're a category that haven't seen much play ever since Maiming Strike was basically nerfed into the ground, right? So I thought I would go out of my way to find a polearm which I thought was usable, right? So I landed on the conclusion that the Tipedo Prime is my favorite, like, non-modular polearm in the game at the minute. So I'm going to show you guys a build, or two different builds, and we're just going to test it out versus a few level 165 heavy gunners. So this build might look a little weird because it's not finished yet, but I'll explain it as we go through. So we got condition overload on here because we have a pretty decent status chance. Now, the reason we're running condition overload over prime pressure point is because they're the damage is sort of calculated in the same way, right? So prime pressure point and condition overload, the bonus that you get is one of the same, right? So if you're able to apply two status effects, then condition overload is going to be better than prime pressure point. So, you know, if you have any melee weapon in the game that can consistently proc two status effects, it's better to use condition overload over prime pressure point, just because, you know, it's just going to give you a higher bonus, right? So we've thrown that on there for our base damage. We've got Blood Rush on here for our critical chance, because that's going to go up the more we hit enemies. We've got Organ Shatter for our critical damage, Berserker for our attack speed, Drifting Contact because we need that combo duration so we can keep the buff from Blood Rush, and also give us the ability to mod with weapon wounds as well, so keep that in mind. Then I've got my two elemental mods on here. Now these are going to be the things that we change up, and also this this flex slot over here, we're going to change this here up as well. So we've got Vicious Frost for our cold, Virulent Scourge for our toxin that makes viral, and then we've got this flex slot where we can throw on Prime Reach, we can throw on weapon wounds, we can throw on a smite mod, or we can throw on another element if we really wanted to. So this is the build that I'm using for the most part. The mod that I like to throw on in my last slot is typically Prime Reach, because I like just being able to hit more enemies with every single swing. That's just because the game is in a spot where it's very easy, right? Like, you don't really ever have to go past the level 110 typically. So having on Prime Reach just lets me clear more enemies with, you know, a few swings a lot faster. So if I'm playing like an exterminate mission or a survival mission or something along those lines, you know, I'm just killing enemies more efficiently because of that Prime Reach. But if you wanted to deal more damage to, you know, a single target, you would probably run something like the Prime Smite mods or Weapon Wounds. It's entirely down to you what you run in this flex slot. So to begin with, just to demonstrate the raw damage of this here build alone, like these here mods by itself, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to throw Prime Reach into the slot instead, just because I want to just demonstrate the damage that these mods do by themselves, right? So this is our viral, so don't expect to see super high damage numbers. What you're going to be looking at here is the fact that we're going to be dealing more damage to the enemy's health with the likes of slash procs, right? So we go ahead, we spawn in the 20 corrupted heavy gunners. They're level 165. They're not going to be paused, but I am going to be invincible, right? So we just gotta go ahead and hit them. I do have Arcane Strike on here as well, which is increasing the amount of damage that I deal. So as you can see, we proc our viral procs pretty consistently and our slash procs pretty consistently as well. And we're killing the enemies pretty quickly, right? It's not a bad melee weapon. The weirdest thing about it is that we knock the enemies into the air because of the combo that we're using, right? We're using forget what it's called. It begins with a C. Let's just go ahead and double check. That's abilities, melee combos, Clash in Forest, right? So we're using Clash in Forest over, I think the other one's called Flailing Branch. The reason I'm using this one is because you hit more with every single combo that you do, right? So you're just dealing more damage with this stance over the other one, which is why I'm using it. But the weird thing about it is that it's knocking the enemies into the air, so it's not that great in terms of like tracking your target, I guess. But the amount of damage that you deal is still really, really, really good, and that is with your Prime Reach mod on. So, you know, pretty decent, right? It's not bad. It's not amazing. Like, it's not as insane as the Chronon Prime, for example, but it's still pretty decent damage, right? So if we go ahead and we remove Prime Reach and we throw on Weeping Wounds, so that way we're going to be proccing our viral, our slash, etc. more consistently, right? But we're going to be hitting less enemies with every single swing. So it's probably going to take us a little bit longer to kill these heavy gunners here, but individually they're going to die faster, implying we're able to hit the targets, right? But we should be dealing a ton of damage through our slash procs and our viral procs and stuff like that. Now, if you're not a fan of the viral slash combo, you can go ahead and run corrosive over the viral, right? And I'm really stuck for which one I prefer whenever it comes to this weapon. Like, the min-maxing part of me wants to say that the viral and the slash are probably better because eating away at the enemy's health really effectively as you're dealing more damage. But whenever you start to get later and later on, the enemy armor is going to keep on scaling up and up and up. I know it's changed up a lot because they turned it into an S curve, but you know, it's corrosive is still a pretty decent element. I'm just torn on which one I would rather use on this weapon specifically. The last mod that I wanted to try in the flex slot is the Prime Smite mod, so let's just go ahead and throw that there on for a demonstration as well. Now this is going to increase our damage overall basically, and also double dip the slash procs, meaning they're going to deal more damage overall as well. So pay attention for those juicy damage over time numbers. Whenever you get those viral procs landed and you're using a Prime Smite mod, the amount of damage over time that you deal is actually crazy. So it feels slower, but then again, that might just be because I'm hitting one enemy at a time here rather than hitting multiple enemies, you know? The thing is as well, is you've got a 4 Riven dispo, so you can get a pretty decent Riven for the Tipedo as well. So it's not like you're crippling yourself by running a weapon like this because it doesn't have you know, a good Riven or Riven capabilities, I guess you could say. I say Riven. Riven doesn't have good Riven capabilities. Whenever I'm making videos that I've got my headsets on, I can I say headset on, I can barely hear myself talk, so that's why sometimes I stutter and say words wrong. But you know, they're all pretty good builds, I would say. Like I said, I'm torn between using viral and corrosive. What I would like to show you guys with the corrosive build is Prime Reach again, just because, you know, this would be the type of mod setup that I would be running in my daily missions, right? So Virulent Scourge, and then I got to go for Voltaic Strike. There we go. That's that added on, and I will go ahead, spawn in those enemies again, and we'll kill them, right? So I personally think that this one is just a tiny bit faster at killing them, just at the level they're at. But then again, I'm not entirely sure. Like I said, the min-maxer makes me want to say that the viral slash combo is probably better, but the corrosive just feels better at the level we're playing at the minute. And I'm sure, like, take this in the sortie content or something like that, then the corrosive build would be even better because the enemy level would be much, much lower. On top of that, you wouldn't be constantly be fighting the heavy gunners, you know? So I don't know, both of those builds, viral or corrosive, they definitely deal damage. It's up to you which you want to run. That's my Valkyrie build. It's up to you which one you want to run. This flex slot, it pretty much stays the same. You can throw on Prime Reach, you can throw on Weeping Wounds, you can throw on the Prime Smite mod. It's entirely down to you and which one you think is better for your purposes, because like I said, I've just been doing my sortie content and whatnot. Prime Reach has been my go-to. It's been working really, really well in sortie content, Q Village content, etc. You know, there's no reason for me to go super min-max and for one Weeping Wounds or the Prime Smite mod for a ton of single target damage. It's just all about using my melee weapon to kill as many enemies as possible with as few swings as possible type of thing. And it's been working really well. So that flex slot, that last slot is entirely up to you. And then of course the element that you want to run as well is also entirely up to you. I can't wrap my head around whether or not I prefer the viral one or the corrosive one. Like I said, the corrosive one feels better, but that might just be because the level of enemies that I'm killing and the way that armor was changed that the corrosive feels better. But I think that as the enemy level gets higher, maybe the viral slash combo might be better, as well as that Prime Smite mod. So I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Tipedo Prime, really good weapon. I enjoy it. I think you guys should give it a chance. If you haven't got your hands on the Cronin Prime, I don't know what is vaulted at the minute because I find it really difficult to keep up with the unvaultings now because there's so many things being vaulted, so many things being unvaulted. I just can't keep up anymore. So let's say you're watching this video and the Cronin Prime is vaulted, but the Tipedo Prime isn't vaulted. Well then, pick up the Tipedo Prime and then use that until the Cronin Prime comes out because it's also a pretty good weapon. This video should also be going up on my website. There's a link to my website down in the description below. It's not finished yet. I need to make a ton of videos to sort of complement the website, but yeah. Anyway, guys, like the video if you liked it. Subscribe for more Warframe content, and I'll see you guys in the next one.